Hi folks, so here I am feeling compelled, let me just make sure volume is on, yes it is. Here I am feeling compelled to do another video just after yesterday on the new moon in Aries, but with a slightly different focus, with a greater focus as to how it is to make this new moon period work for us, given the different energies at work. And the biggest area of focus is the idea that the planet Venus is now in Pisces, and I will explain why. First and foremost, the Mars-Venus polarity is really important to this time because the new moon that occurred earlier today was in Aries, which is a sign ruled by Mars, and it's very much countered by the fact that on March the 26th, 2 days before Mercury went direct in Pisces, the planet Venus entered Pisces, and Venus is very strong in Pisces. And as I said in my new moon video from yesterday, this new moon is marked very much by the idea that it is a new moon of forward movement, but it is not quite yet time for forward movement until issues related to the sign of Pisces have been resolved. Issues, as I've said numerous times, but if you're listening to this for the first time, sorry everyone who's heard this before, issues related to crises from 2015, 2016, November 15th, 2018 to December 31st, 2018, and since February the 10th of 2019. That is where the focus still is, and the focus is on wrapping things up, reconsidering, reevaluating, actually I'm going to say reconsidering things based on where we're at right now and seeing if we can't heal things, particularly if they have to do with relationships primarily, but I would also include creatively and financially. The new moon occurred in the sign of Aries, and everywhere I look, this new moon is being hailed in very positive terms, and I too have hailed it in positive terms, but it really confused me and concerned me, and I thought, let me go back and see if I hailed it in this positive terms, and I want to the positivity comes from the fact that there's a feeling that because it is a new moon in Aries and because Mercury has recently been retrograde, that this new moon is going to pull us out of everything and that a new day will come and that everything will be great and glorious just by magic. No, that's not what this new moon is about. As I said in my video yesterday, the new moon is here and I already feel a sense of lightness, but that really has a lot more to do with, frankly, Mercury clearing the energies of Neptune and this being a new moon than it has anything to do with the fact that it's a new moon in Aries. But there's still stuff that needs to be cleaned and cleared up. I don't really know necessarily that the Aries energy is going to be felt quite as potently until as we head to the end of April. That doesn't mean that this new moon in Aries is futile. It just means that there are two set parts of the horoscope. There are multiple parts of the horoscope, 3 at least, where Capricorn is, but there are 2 parts of and that in itself is interesting. There are 2 parts of the horoscope right now, Pisces and Aries, that kind of have this, that are pulling our attention, but it's the Pisces that is still stronger and more relevant. Okay. The new moon is in the sign of Aries. The moon is never happy in the sign of Aries. Why? Because Aries is an initiating, change-oriented, leadership-oriented, dynamic sign. Aries identifies what needs to be changed and moves to change it. But Aries can be rash. The moon stands for our sense of emotional stability and emotional fulfillment. And Aries is the sign of is the sign that is quickest to identify where we are not fulfilled and quickest to react, not respond, react to what it is that needs to be changed. On the positive side, if there is something that needs to be changed, if a carpet needs to be cleaned and it is driving someone crazy, it could very well be that it's a sign of Aries that propels, that is quickest to say, this is driving me crazy, I need to clean this, I need to fix this. You walk into a room, the temperature's too low, you go to change it. You're emotionally quick to identify where you are not content and you choose to fix it dynamically. You choose to take the lead. On the negative side, you could be cleaning the carpet and you could find the cap of a pen and get irritated with it and throw it away, only to realize 10 minutes later that the bottom part of the pen you found on a table and you wish you hadn't thrown it away and taken out the trash. Actually, you probably wish, if you were acting under this influence of Moon and Aries, you wish you didn't flick the pen cap away, go pick it up, put it in the trash, throw the trash out the window, and find that it was taken away by a passing something, seagull, never to be returned, only to realize 10 minutes later that you'd done something rashly by virtue of reacting. Okay? So the moon in Aries can have that kind of angry quality. Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is the male planet. Mars pushes to change things. Mars goes after what it wants. Mars takes. Mars desires. Okay? The testosterone planet. And the moon, both being feminine in essence and seeking harmony and peace and fulfillment and happiness, is in a sign that is truly, that is the sign of war, that is the sign of battle, that is the sign of change, that is the sign of growth, that is the sign of the shoot coming out of the ground, a sign of springtime. So understand that this is a new moon, and we should all rejoice, and we're probably feeling a whole lot better. I certainly am in certain respects, but it is still a new moon of discontent, and it is still therefore a new moon of action. Fantastic. But where is this action going to go? Chances are this action is still going to be directed in Piscean things. I've already given the dates for which that is relevant, where Mercury was retrograde and is now direct, and where the sign of Pi, and where Venus is. Let's shift our attention a little bit to Venus. Venus is the female planet. It never, it's interesting to me that out of all the planets, the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, that's 7 traditional planets. 5 are masculine. It's an open question whether Mercury is masculine or not. 2 are feminine. So even if you count Mercury out, you have 4 masculine, 2 feminine. I think it's fair to say that astrologically things are run from a very patriarchal perspective. Now, when you add Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, you've got still 2 female planets, with the rest of them being overwhelmingly male. And the female planets are fascinatingly described. The moon is there, and when you compare the sun and the moon as they are, the sun stands for all the male principles. It's rational, it shines brightly, it is direct, it is clear. The moon is hidden and moody and emotional and intuitive and surreptitious. All those male fears about femininity are sort of projected onto the moon. Now, I will say that from a traditional perspective, certainly I can speak for Jyotish, the moon is given a great deal of importance, and I think rightly so. The moon actually, as far as I'm concerned, and I think that moon-like flickers of light, I think either the sun or the moon is excited to be peeking through right now, and I'm going to let it do so. The moon is given a fair amount of importance from a Vedic or a Jyotish perspective and stands for us, which I think is very, I think is intelligent, because wherever we are emotionally fulfilled or not fulfilled, chances are that's what we're going to be driven to address, no matter whether we are emotionally repressed or emotionally expressed. And I find that when I look at my lunar return, this is for the astrologically inclined, or whenever I consider where the moon is at any given point, the moon goes around the chart in 28 days. So it's in each sector of the chart, each house of the chart for about 2.5 to 3 days, 2 to 3 days. I find that wherever the moon is, there's no question that part of the chart will be activated. Fascinating. So you cannot discount the moon, irrespective of what we, from a Western perspective, and it has to be said from a Western patriarchal perspective, project onto the moon. Now, the only other female planet, unsurprisingly at this point in time, is curvy Venus. So if we were going to have a planet, a female planet, a quintessentially female planet, what planet would that be in patriarchal terms? Venus, the object of desire, the pregnant one, the one that is fertile, the one that is lush, the one that is nurturing. Venus is also imbued with other things we desire: money, luxury, things that we admire and that are of erotic interest. And it's important to use the word interest. It's Mars's energy is driven towards Venusian things, the arts, again, beauty. I think it is time, when we consider Venus in Pisces and this particular time, to reconsider how to operate in an environment where strong Venus can help us. And traditionally, Venus is seen as a pretty passive planet. So if Mars is the active planet that goes for what it desires, Venus is the passive planet. If Mars, the yin-yang, no two planets are given truly, where Mars is, there is no Venus. Where Venus is, there is no Mars. Therefore, the attraction, the two complete each other. That kind of male-female paradigm. Mercury retrograde, I think, has left everyone feeling like their feminine needs are not being met. Now, that is a statement that can invite a great deal of ridicule and humor. But I'm not really talking in physical terms. I'm talking in emotional terms. And with Venus here, when I talk about crises in March, when Mercury was retrograde in the sign of Pisces, where there were crises in 2015, 2016, where there were crises created by Mars, the male planet, November 15th to December 31st of 2018. I think we've come to a point in this part of the chart where we're feeling very bruised and very neglected from a relational perspective. And the key word there is respect and appreciation. The female part of relationships, archetypally. Venus is imbued with qualities of diplomacy. Venus is also accused of being too soft and too passive when contracts need to be made, not enough boundaries. But I really think that that's a male fantasy. At the end of the day, if you are coming through Mercury retrograde with Mercury direct, there's every chance and possibility that there is a relationship component to what it is that you're dealing with. And the healing comes down to a certain choice. Do I stay or do I go? And there are a few things to note. Being Mars-like currently and right now is not going to help. So if you come to this feeling like my needs are not being met, there's every chance that the person you're going to talk to is in the same damn place, irrespective of their gender identification, their sexual orientation. Chances are, if you go to someone and say, you are not giving me this, I am not getting anything in this, chances are they will say, welcome to my world. So if you go in with a you are not good enough approach, they might very well turn around and say, you are not a pleasure to be around either. That is not a Venusian approach, that is a Martian approach, going in to do war. A better approach would be, I don't think this is working, and I don't think that this relationship is constructive anymore or helpful for both of us. There are ways in which Venus knows when her boundaries are violated. Venus knows when enough is enough. Venus knows when her no is not respected by the Mars-like principle. And Venus is perfectly capable of shutting down in a Venusian way that is clear, firm, might be polite, might be remarkably savvy in a diplomatic way insofar as it does not invite further conflict. It just says, I don't think this is working for either of us, and it starts to close the door. It does not say, this is not working for me anymore. Okay, so know and understand that distinction is very important as you go into the healing process. Some people will be coming together, some people will be going apart. And Venus's closure is much clearer and much firmer than Mars's closure. Mars kind of has this grabbing, going for what it wants, rapacious quality. At its best, it's driven and provides a lot of energy and can give you all the drive you need to get something done. At its worst, it is invasive. And the Venusian principle in all of us, irrespective of whether we're male or female or however we identify, has kind of had enough. And in Pisces, is truly strong and wise and connected and can help Mercury out. Mercury, as I've discussed in videos before, has not much ability to operate. Words are not coming easily right now. Let's say you decide to sit down to send someone an email or write someone a letter. Wow, that sun is gorgeous. I'm sorry, it's like a horrible spot in this video, and I apologize for it. Here, I'll do it this way. I'll block out the sun. It sounds so evil. It sounds a terrible thing to do. But if Mercury's inability to communicate and to put into words what is going on and rationally process what is going on can be aided by Venus's ability to know and understand how it is that things have gotten to where they've gotten to, understand that it is a joint accountability, understand sort of the divine supreme connectedness of things, the chicken and egg nature of how things go right or wrong in relationships, and to understand and know at a very deep level what is needed and what isn't needed, and where things are going and what needs to be ended and what needs to be begun, etc. Let's go to a happier example. Let's say that two parties, as a result of healing, decide to come together. Again, I think the approach is better suited to be Venusian, loving, understanding, maybe even giving each other space. That's really why I paused for a while. It's not so much about, let's get together and let's make this happen right now. It's more like, why don't we take this at our own pace, at a pace which is comfortable? You've got a lot going on, I've got a lot going on. We've got a lot to consider. Just know that the door is always open. I'm not asking you for anything. I'm not demanding. I just want us to be happy. And if we're going to be in a relationship, I really want it to be on a strong foundation. And I will support you, and I will love you and care about you. And you do the same for me. And this is a comfortable space. It's a wise way to approach any relationship, to not be attached to an outcome. Are we going to come together? Are we going to do this? You've let me down. Desire, 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 desire. And the desire side of things is pretty strong. Mars is pretty strong wherever it is at. I keep looking to see whether that's still happening. But it's Venus that counts. If you are looking to finish up what this new moon is trying to do, which is to finish up things from the past so that you can move forward into the new, a Venusian approach is what will be best. When you think of Pisces, the sign of the ocean, you look at all the Venus iconography. You think of the Botticelli painting coming out of the ocean. Venus loves the ocean. Love, beauty, money, riches, luxury, creativity, connectedness, vacations, fish, mermaids, mermen, it's a realm of peace, and it's a realm of wholeness. It's a realm of purity that is often defiled by male activities. Plastic. These days, it seems. Pollution. So Venus's comfort in Pisces indeed is very, very, and Pisces is detached, and Pisces is wise, and Pisces is about unity. Pisces is not about separateness. Pisces is not about you and me. Pisces is about us. Pisces is about us all, and in fact, Pisces is about us all on a quantum and a cosmic level. So go into the next 15 days with clarity. Know what needs to end, know what needs to be repaired, and try to use some of the Venusian principles I have laid out in this video, as counterintuitive as they may seem, because everyone is coming out of Mercury retrograde pretty bruised and probably pretty ready to do battle, to determine how it is that you want to resolve things. And I don't really believe that Venus in Pisces will make you passive, or will just make you roll over and show your soft underbelly when you really want to bite someone's finger off. I think that kind of passiveness is really just emotional repression and not wise resolution. I was going to say wise emotional expression, but I don't know that it's necessarily the time for emotional expression as much as it is the time for knowing and redefining. Venus is the relationship planet. The word contract is a very interesting one right now because Mercury is the planet of contracts insofar as things are written down and verbally or in written ways agreed to, rational. But I think of Venus as a very contractual planet too. It's the handshake. It's the exchange. If you think in terms of tarot, it's the Two of Cups, and it's that kind of, it's the give and take. It's the handshake. You can think of Libra as it's ruled by Venus. It's the scales. It's seeking balance. It's seeking harmony. And sometimes you recognize that here it is. The primary meditation currently from a healing perspective needs to be, how can I bring harmony into the world? And so if I am dealing with certain relationship situations, do I bring harmony into the world by stepping away from something that is not working and I know it? And by hashing it out or trying to change things in certain ways is going to be counterproductive. And choosing to do it is futile because it's just going to increase disharmony. Is it more harmonious to walk away from something? In which case, I'm not saying depart. I'm not saying be passive aggressive, kind of a Venusian dark side. But I am saying be clear, be wise, know what your boundaries are, know where it is that you feel you need to be firm, but understand and recognize that other people have boundaries too. And that as much as it is easy to say that things are happening because the other party is deficient, it's pretty likely right now that they're going to feel the same way about you. Pretty bloody likely. And so the question becomes, do you leave the door open to come together? In which case I would say the approach is better suited to be, I'll give you space, my door is always open. I care about you, how can I support you? As long as it's not violating your boundaries. Be clear about what your boundaries are though. Be clear about what it is that you want to tolerate and what it is that you will accept. Or is it more effective to say, this is truly no longer working and this has descended to abysmal depths, and it is best for us to end it. Us. Not me and you, not me or you, us. And I hope that that principle helps you take action where the new moon in Aries wants you to take action, in a respond, don't react, respond, not react way, and helps you with this mysterious, powerful healing energy that Venus and Pisces can be at its most effective. Let's see, is there anything else that I really want to say about this? If you made decisions between March the 5th and March the 28th, chances are you may change your mind about them till April the 20th. So if you signed on the dotted line during that time or you initiated something, too bad. Find a way, figure out if you can change things because you may have made a mistake, okay? You may reconsider things. And you may reconsider things with this Venusian influence. You may realize that you have been too rash, too destructive at that time. And that I think is worth saying. Decisions that were made between March 5th and March 28th may be up for revision. And the revision may be one of approach. The revision may be one of result. The revision may be one of action. You may just regret an action that was taken. You may regret what was agreed to, what you decided to do. It may not be in the best interest of harmony. It may not, and I mean harmony from an overall perspective. So if you're making decisions or you made decisions during that time that have karmic consequences for time to come, years to come, months to come, karmic consequences and generations to come, something like that, then know that you may, with Venus's wise approach, as long as you are not as long as you're not compromising on your boundaries, as long as you're not compromising on your self-respect, which is not just a Mars principle, it's very much a Venus principle too, then that may be up for revision. With Mercury direct in Pisces now for the final time, it's still struggling to communicate, but it is time to reconsider. And with Venus there, to heal. And in some ways, best to try and put to bed things related to crises in 2015, 2016, and November 15, 2018 to December 31st, 2018, in such a way that you can be free to move forward. And the new moon in Aries, the dissatisfied new moon, may very well give you the impetus over the next 14 days to achieve that. In 14 days, we'll have the second full moon in Libra, so thematically, things related to March the 20th may come back around again. Why? That remains to be seen, and we'll address that in future videos. Okay, this is a 25-minute long video, the longest one I've ever done. I'm stopping it now. See you guys later.